Hey guys, can you believe we are in our final week of the No-Spend Pantry Challenge? And I can't wait to share with you all these easy recipes and pantry-made meals that we made this week. Also, make sure you stick around to the end of the video to see how much money we saved on groceries and how we just did in general with this challenge. Hey guys, this is Tiffany. If you are new here, welcome. Thank you so much for being here. But we are officially on our final week of our No-Spend Pantry Challenge. It has been a journey of creativity, a few surprises, and maybe just a tiny craving for takeout, but we've made it this far. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe to follow along with our journey on becoming more frugal, living more self-sustainably, and also projects that we have going on around our homestead and fun adventures that we are taking. Okay, so now it is time to get into cooking. So tonight I am making this pizza pasta bake. I had some peppers that we just froze from our garden in our deep freezer, so I pulled those out and I'm just chopping up some onion that we had left over. My family doesn't love a ton of onions. Well, I take that back. My husband and I both do, but my kids do not. So I'm just using some onion that we had stored in our refrigerator, chopping that up. And then we are going to cook 1 pound of sausage, and then we are going to add in some pepperonis, and then I didn't have marinara sauce, so we are just making do with what we have. I had some tomato paste, and I also had some tomato sauce that I had canned from my garden, so we are just going to go ahead and heat that up, and then we're going to add that to 16-ounce rotini noodles that were already cooked. And then we're going to add some cheese to this, and then we're going to bake this in the oven for 30 minutes at 350 degrees. If you want to make it more like pizza-ish, you can go ahead and add some black olives. You can add whatever you like on your pizza, and you can add this to the pasta. But this was super easy, and my family really enjoyed it. I forgot to mention that I did add some Italian seasoning into my sauce just to make it taste a little bit more like pizza sauce. So I'm just going to go ahead and get my noodles cooked, and then I'm going to go ahead and cut up the pepperonis. And then as we put this together, we're going to kind of layer it and make it into a bake in a casserole dish. Okay, so this recipe calls for mozzarella cheese, which I don't have, so we are shelf cooking. We are not spending money on groceries this week. So I have taco cheese, which I guess will work. And then I have Italian style cheese, which is close because it's got some mozzarella in it, but it's not quite enough for this recipe. So we are just going to make do with what we got. This is a pizza pasta bake, so I'm sure it'll be close enough. I greased this baking dish a little bit, and then I'm going to go ahead and put some sauce at the bottom and then just combine all the ingredients together. I will have this recipe written out for you in the description below. So I would love to hear from you in the comments below. How did you do on this no-spend challenge? Are you going to continue on with it in the next coming months? So I'd love to hear from you. Post it down below. So this meal was definitely a hit with the whole family. After dinner, I had to prep everything for the next day because I work day shift, so I am just packing lunches. And you know my motto, I'm not going to spend money while making money. So I am just going to meal prep some lunches for myself, my husband, and the kids. So I had some tortillas that needed used up, and I'm just taking that Laughing Cow pepper jack cheese, spreading it on the tortillas, and then I'm just adding some turkey lunch meat and then some pickles and rolling it up into a little roll-up wrap. This is something quick and easy that I like to have for lunch and or even a snack. So I am using pickles that we canned from our garden, and I have to say that we are putting a pretty good dent in our pickle collection. I thought I maybe canned way too many, but I definitely feel like we have been eating a ton of pickles, and this recipe that I tried this past year came out so good because these are spicy pickles. So here is a little bento box lunch that I packed for my husband and I, and it didn't take that long. So a few weeks ago, I had made some white chocolate chip cookies, and I froze some of them, and we needed a sweet treat after dinner tonight, so I'm just sticking them in the oven. Okay, so it is like 6:15, and I am getting ready to go to work. So I gotta feed the horses. I'm running late this morning as usual, and they are hungry. You can see them. Hi, buddy. Cute. This guy's not ready to get up yet this morning. I feel you, buddy. So it is the next morning, and I got home from work pretty late last night, so we just had leftovers. But this morning I am making some scrambled eggs with cottage cheese. That is one of my favorite things to do to get a little extra protein, and our chickens are laying about 13 to 14 eggs a day again, so just a simple breakfast with some turkey sausage and scrambled eggs. This night for dinner, we are having homemade meatballs with spaghetti and some garlic bread. So for this recipe, it is a half a cup of plain breadcrumbs, half a cup of grated Parmesan cheese, half a teaspoon of garlic powder, half a teaspoon of onion powder, a half a teaspoon of Italian seasoning, 1/4 teaspoon of salt, 1/4 teaspoon of pepper, 2 large eggs, 1/4 cup of whole milk, 1 pound of Italian sausage, and 1 pound of ground beef. And I will have this recipe linked in the description below. I am so glad our chickens started laying eggs again, because I'm sure you've all heard about the crazy prices of eggs right now. And we have about 27 laying hens. So some of them are a little older and I don't think they're laying, but we are just thankful to have these chickens to provide us with eggs right now. So now I'm just combining all the ingredients, and then I'm going to go ahead and roll them into little balls. And I'm cooking some of these in a cast iron skillet on the stovetop. That's what we're going to have for dinner tonight. And then some of them I'm going to cook in our oven while I'm preparing dinner. That way I can freeze them and store them for another meal. Originally, my daughter wanted to help make these meatballs, and then she decided that she didn't really want to touch the meat. She thought it looked gross. So I am just going ahead and doing this myself. And then here in a moment, when I went back and watched this video, you will see this dog, the boxer. Look at him sitting right there watching me. If you've ever had a boxer, you know that they are just funny dogs. And this guy is definitely full of personality, and he is always by my side. So now I added some oil to the cast iron pan, and then I'm going to go ahead and just put the meatballs in here, and we are going to cook them, turning them every couple minutes until they are browned on all sides. And then for the ones that are going in the oven, I'm going to heat the oven to 400, line a baking sheet, and then place these meatballs in the oven for about 15 minutes until they are browned. And then I went ahead and added the sauce that I had canned from our tomatoes in our garden to the meatballs just to let it warm up while I cooked the spaghetti noodles. One thing that I'd really like to learn to do is make my own noodles. Doesn't look super hard. I just need to find the time to do it. So now I'm just going to make some garlic bread. This is some of our homemade bread. I've just melted some butter, put some garlic powder with it, and some Italian seasoning. And then I went ahead and put on some Parmesan cheese, and then I'm just going to bake these until they're a little crispy. One thing that's very important to our family is that we sit down every night that we can and eat dinner together. We just talk about our day, and it's just great to sit down and have conversations. And then there is our plated meal. Now this day I'm going to go ahead and meal prep a bunch of food, but first I'm going to make some breakfast. We're getting sick of the same old scrambled eggs, so this morning I am going to make an egg salad. This is just something that reminds me of my childhood because this is what my mom would make all the time. But I just hard boiled some eggs. I'm going to chop them up and just add some mayonnaise, salt, and pepper. If you've ever had fresh eggs hard boiled, they can be a little bit difficult to peel, but these ones actually didn't peel too bad. So sometimes I will eat it just out of the bowl like this, or I will put it on toast. This morning we put it on some toast and made a sandwich out of it. From miles away, I can tell there's something's off. So the kids wanted pancakes this morning, so I went ahead and made a little extra, and then I'm going to cook the extras that we had left over and then just put them in the freezer for the rest of the week. You said this is something you would never do. Here we are in your car. Let me see who you are, who you really are. Yeah. Don't need you here to say you're sorry, 'cause if you're gonna. So I let these cool on the counter for quite a while, then I put them in some parchment paper, and then I'm going to go ahead and put them in this Ziploc bag and then place them in the freezer so we can use them the rest of the week. Okay, so I am getting ready to prep food for the week, and I am out in my garage, and I'm gonna go ahead and pull out some meat. This is our freezer that has the beef and fish mainly, and then up in our other, we have like a detached pole barn. Up there we have the chicken and fish. So I'm gonna get in here and pull out some beef for cooking this week. Let's be honest for a second, yeah, you're being over your head, babe. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and take the meat that I picked out for the week and place it in this bowl to thaw in our fridge. So now I am prepping some quick grab-and-go breakfast. This is a cheesy breakfast biscuit. I will have this recipe also in the description, but I am just using 1 3/4 cup of plain Greek yogurt, 4 eggs, 2.5 cups of all-purpose flour, 1/4 cup of ground flaxseed, 1 teaspoon of garlic powder, 1 tablespoon of baking powder, 2 teaspoons of salt, 1.5 cups of spinach are in the recipe, but I would not add that because my kids won't eat that. But then I did add a 1/2 cup of cheddar cheese that was shredded, and then I added 2 cups of cooked breakfast sausage. So now I'm going to go ahead and take the dry ingredients and add it into the wet ingredients and then give everything a good mix. And then I will be adding the sausage into this mixture. So I am mixing everything all together, and it kind of makes a doughy consistency. So you want to just make sure everything's well incorporated. I preheated my oven to 400 degrees, and now I am going to just take a spoon and make like a little dollop on a parchment lined baking sheet. And if you've ever had Red Lobster, these kind of reminded me of the biscuits that you get whenever you go for dinner. They kind of had that texture to them, and with the sausage and everything, it gave you a little breakfast feel, but these are super filling. I've had these like 2 biscuits every morning for breakfast, and I am full until lunchtime. So I'm going to sprinkle each one with a little bit of cheddar cheese, and then I'm going to bake these at 400 degrees for 5 minutes, and then I'm going to turn the temperature down to 350 and bake for an additional 20 minutes. By nature, I am a messy cook, so I'm just trying to tidy up the kitchen as I go along in between cooking different recipes today. And then here's the finished product, and let me tell you, these were so good and just filling. So after I let them cool, I just put them in this little container and kept them in a refrigerator. So they were just easy to grab, heat up a little bit in the microwave, and then we had a hearty breakfast. You will see here at the end that I grabbed one just to sample for myself, and let me tell you, it was so tasty. Next, I'm going to show you a hot honey chicken salad that I made that was full of protein and so tasty. So I will have this recipe linked in the description below, but it was super easy, and I'm just chopping up some celery, and then I'm going to put chicken breast in my Ninja blender. I forgot to videotape that part, but here's the end result of the chicken. So I did not have hot honey, but I'm just taking some honey that we had in our pantry, adding some hot pepper flakes that we had to it, and it tasted just about the same. Then I just pulsed the blender a little bit to mix everything together before I put the other ingredients in. So with this meal, I also added a little bit of cottage cheese. I added about a half a cup of cottage cheese and then blended that up in the blender. And now I'm just going to take this, put it in a bowl, and then I'm adding some dill pickled relish. It needed to be used up, so I'm just going to add this instead of our homemade pickles, and I just kind of eyeballed it and added what I thought would be good. The recipe is for 1 cup, but I really like pickles, and so does my husband. So this was a super easy meal to whip up. We just kept it in the fridge and divvied it out throughout the week for our lunches, and I ate it with some crackers, and I also did just eat it off of a spoon too, but it was so good. Okay, so now I'm moving on to making my family famous banana bread. Everybody in my family loves this banana bread, but it is just 1 stick of butter, and then I'm going to cream that. I'm going to use 2 cups of sugar, 2 eggs, 1 cup of milk, 1 teaspoon of vanilla, 1 teaspoon of baking soda, 2 teaspoons of baking powder, 3 cups of all-purpose flour, 3 ripe bananas, and then I add 1 cup of pecans.
She kept dreaming of a world big enough for everyone. She knew it must rain before it grows. She kept dreaming of the day butterflies survive the wheel. Even though she got knocked down, it never showed. Dear Lily, where'd you go? Where's your heart at? Why'd you fall back?
So we are getting close to sharing our final results of our No-Spend Challenge. So stick around. We are almost there to let you know our numbers.
Decades old, but it doesn't matter.
So this recipe makes 2 loaves of banana bread. I usually eat one quickly and then put the other one in the freezer. But we are going to go ahead and bake 2 full-size, well-greased bread pans for about 45 minutes to 1 hour at 350.
She kept dreaming. she could knock down and never.
These did not last long in my home, and they are almost like a banana cake. They are so good. Okay, so now it's time to make dinner. So I am just going to make a gravy, and then I have some mushrooms and onions sauteing, and then I'm boiling some potatoes to make some mashed potatoes, and then we are going to grill some steaks.
Waking up and easy head.
So in the comments, I would love to hear from you of what your family does to save money. Obviously, I try to cook as many of our meals at home as possible. We have a budget, and I try to cook things from scratch. But something I was thinking about when I was making this video is something my dad would always say. He would go around the house and say, save a watt, and would shut off all the lights. And as a child, I would always leave a room and leave the light on. So now that I'm an adult and I have my own family, it sticks with me that it costs money to keep electricity running. So whenever we can, shut off a light as you leave a room, and it just kind of makes sense now. So now I'm just getting ready to prepare the mashed potatoes, and I feel like mashed potatoes are something our family eats at least once a week, sometimes more. It's just easy. We always have potatoes on hand, and it's just a nice filling meal.
Someone to save me. No, and don't come running to blame.
So this particular night, my kids are starving, so I went ahead and cut some steak up for them and got them started eating while I finished cutting up some steak for my husband and I. But I love these cuts that are closest to the bone. They are so tender and juicy, and we are just so thankful to have had that cow that we bought from our butcher friend. After dinner, we went down in our basement, had some popcorn, and watched a movie. We watched Avatar. We love this movie, and it was just so nice to spend time together as a family. Plus, it was free entertainment. Okay, so looking back at this challenge, I learned several things. I learned that I already have a lot, and I can be creative with what I already have. I also learned more about mindful spending, realizing what I actually want versus what I actually need are two different things. And I also learned more about pantry magic. Pantry magic is something that I found fun. When you look in your pantry and you realize that you do actually have more in there than what you thought, and it's fun to just kind of create your own meals. So when I was a little girl, I used to pretend that I had a cooking show, and I remember being, I don't know, like 8 and in the kitchen, and I would pretend like I was talking to a camera, and I would put on my cooking show, and I would make animal treats and things like that. Now this was before YouTube and before we had video cameras like this, and I would just do it for fun with my friends. Actually, my parents did have a video camera, so I did use that. But it kind of brings me back to that, like I'm cooking and making some videos of the things that I made and cooking from scratch. So I thought that was pretty cool. And I also learned a lot about saving money, skipping unnecessary spending. That kind of goes along with the pantry magic. Like, we don't need to buy every sauce there is, and we don't need to buy the newest throw pillow for Valentine's Day, or the fancy designer clothes. But I definitely learned a lot through this challenge, and I really hope that you did too, and that you enjoyed it, and that you learned something about yourself along the way. I realized that I need to get back to my minimalism, being thankful for what we have, and realizing that foods don't have to be elaborate as long as we are covering, healthy meals for our children and our family, and we are all together is really what matters. So yeah, it was a fun challenge for our family. I think my kids actually enjoyed it as well. They kind of got on board. They're like, oh, we're on no spend month. We're not going to go, and we're not going to stop at McDonald's today. Let's see what mom comes up with at home for dinner. And some nights it was breakfast for dinner. I didn't record some of those, but we had breakfast for dinner, and they loved that. And that was something fun for them. And I think they're also learning an important lesson in life about how to live below your means, how to use what you have, and how to be frugal. A place to go. So I really enjoy using YNAB for our budgeting. But when I was looking at it, I'm comparing numbers here. December, I don't feel was a very good month to give numbers on, because December for us is a lot of family coming in town. So our grocery budget was higher than our normal because we were, cooking, for Christmas and for New Year's, and you know, it just kind of got a big spending month. I wanted to base it off of what our average normal month spending is. So September, October, November, I kind of averaged up what our grocery budget was, and it was about $1,400. It was $1,440, about in there. So when I'm looking at that to what we spent in January, we did have quite a bit of savings. So in January, we spent $731. So if you have been watching this challenge, you would see that we didn't really go crazy grocery shopping. I did buy things for my kids for lunch. I did buy, you know, fruits, vegetables, milk. Had to buy some cheeses and things like that. Nothing super crazy. And I was kind of shocked when I looked at that number. When I've been doing our budgeting this year, I have tended to use the YNAB as like a expense tracker instead of, you know, I'm setting a $500 grocery budget and not going over that. I've, you know, used it as an expense tracker just to see how much we are spending. But I think that this year we are going to go back to what we used to do and set a budget and try to stick to that for our grocery budget. But I do have to say that in November, when I was looking at that grocery bill, I'm sorry, December, we spent $2,494, and that was a lot. That's a big grocery bill, but we did go to Sam's Club and buy paper towels, toilet paper, Ziploc bags, paper plates, like all those essentials. And if you've ever been to a Sam's Club or a Costco, you know when you go there, you're gonna spend at least $400 when you go. So that's why I didn't count December. But January, yeah, we spent that $731 on our grocery budget. I cooked so much more from scratch than I ever have. I've done, you know, bread, I did the mayonnaise, I meal prep foods, which you've seen in these videos. And but we're a family of four. I've got a 13-year-old son who I feel like is eating me out of house and home right now as he's growing, and you know, he's active in sports, so he's always hungry. And then I have a almost 9-year-old daughter. And then my husband and I both eat all of our meals prepped from home. We don't eat out when we're at work. Occasionally we might, you know, get them from the cafeteria, or my husband might go, you know, get McDonald's or something. But we eat all of our meals from stuff we have at home. So I feel like our budget requires a little bit more because we're eating all of our meals from home. But some of the wins that we had from this No-Spend Pantry Challenge is I did not spend anything on clothing. I did not spend anything on home decor. I didn't order anything from Amazon. I didn't go to Starbucks, and I cut all out all the unnecessary spending and only really spent on groceries and then our expenses that we have to pay, like our house, our car, you know, things like that. And then other things that came up, which I had put in one of the videos, is my car needed some maintenance. We had to buy shavings for the horses. You know, there was just animal expenses too that came up this month. So, but looking at how much we saved, so I averaged out our $1,400 minus the $731. We saved about $669 from our normal on groceries, from our normal spending on groceries. So that's $669, that's a big amount. And we can use that to put towards, you know, paying off a car. We can put that towards, you know, a vacation fund. We can put that towards so many other things than just buying junk at a store that we don't need, that is unhealthy for us, that's processed foods. But I feel like that was a big win, even though I would have liked to have had more and cut down that grocery budget a little bit more. I feel like that was a good amount, and I am excited to continue this more disciplined spending, challenging myself here in February and also in March. So I hope you enjoyed this whole No-Spend Pantry Challenge. I hope it inspired you and gave you some ideas of how you can also cook from home, cook from scratch, get yourself back on a budget and kind of align with goals that you have for yourself. And I just hope that you enjoyed all these videos that I've made each week. And thanks for being here. Thanks for watching. Okay, so if you have made it through this challenge, congratulations. If you've hit some bumps along the way, that's okay, we did too. I hope that you had fun with this challenge, you realized about mindful spending, and hopefully you'll continue it on into February also. If you enjoyed this journey with us, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, subscribe for more, and we'll see you in the next one. Until then, stay creative and keep making the most of what you have.
Need someone to save me. No, and don't come running and blame me. From miles away, I can tell that something's off. The way you look and how you pause.